2019 BMW X5 car review. Unlike BMW's sports sedans, its SUVs haven't any revered progenitors, no E39 or E46 to engender nostalgia and unfair comparisons. The X5 is definitely competent and commercially successful, but it really has never really been exalted. So BMW doesn't need to launch the fourth generation of a midsize SUV while using promise, which the company is reconciling on track, since it is doing with all the impending new 3 Series. Instead, the Bavarians are perfectly content to prove this X5 just better, more capable, and much more advanced version on the last X5. And that's just what it is. The good points of 2019 BMW X5. Sweet inline musics, elegant cabin, capable chassis. The bad points of 2019 BMW X5. Overly familiar looks, many costly options. Slightly greater than before with regards to wheelbase, width, and length, the brand new X5's proportions are eminently familiar, whether or not its kidney grille is continuing to grow to near comical proportions. Its skin is pulled tauter above the corners, along with the side surfacing adds a little interest, having a line that kicks up for the rear door, so that it is look more athletic. Nonetheless, it's far away from revolutionary. New and improved platform. There's a great amount of novel stuff taking underneath, however. BMW is moving its entire lineup to merely 2 modular platforms, and also the X5 may be the latest to change to the so-called Clark cluster architecture that underpins the newest 3 Series. Its double-wishbone front suspension and multi-link rear are complemented by newly standard adaptive dampers plus an optional suspension that now brings air springs on the front in addition to your rear axle. These people were only available out back previously. Rear wheel steering is really a new offering, and some on the last X5's options, including active anti-roll bars, variable ratio steering, plus an electronically controlled limited slip rear differential, continue on here. This wide array of chassis tech is all part of BMW's assertion that this new X5 both handles better on-road and is particularly more capable off-road. We can't dispute this claim after experiencing the brand new X5 using a legitimately challenging off-road course as well as some twisty terrains around Atlanta. It's impressive within the dirt, with the requisite systems, including standard hill descent control, turning it into easy to crawl down rocks, despite the fact even when fitted with all the new off-road package, the examples we drove wore decidedly street-biased Pirelli P0 summer tires. More relevant will be the X5's road manners, which improve upon the previous model's clunky ride and loose steering using a more connected feel as well as a greater feeling of refinement. The primary controls continue to be somewhat aloof. A tall, 2.5-ton SUV isn't going to give the sharp responses of your sports sedan, therefore we don't expect it to, but there's little slopping side steering and also the brake pedal responds progressively to inputs. The X5 is usually supremely quiet, confidently settling into a stable highway cruise with barely any wind or road noise permeating the cabin. Powertrain perfection. You might hear a hint in the xDrive 40i model's sweet singing inline musics under hard acceleration, however the engine note is hushed, too. This 335 horsepower turbocharged 3.0-liter mill is familiar from elsewhere from the BMW lineup, and delay pills work as beautifully from the X5 the way it does in other Beamers. Shifts in the ZF 8-speed automatic are snappy, and also the engine can be so smooth, satisfying, and potent through the entire rev range. The 456 horsepower twin-turbo V8 xDrive 50i, which we would not drive, looks like overkill? The xDrive designation should let you know that all-wheel drive is standard, although a rear-drive price leader will more than likely join the lineup later, as well as diesel and plug-in hybrid versions. The fully loaded 6-cylinder X5 we drove, in a steep-as-tested expense of more than $80,000, boasted one in the nicest BMW interiors in recent memory. While the upright seating position coming from all previous X5s remains to be in effect, the dashboard is often a refreshing break from tradition. Knurled knobs, modernized climate control buttons, and shiny items of trim bring more flair than we're accustomed to finding in BMW's dour, business-like cabins. Optional finishes, for example a leather-wrapped dash, glass controls, and no-cost open-pore wood, class things up into a level that nearly matches the Volvo XC90's cabin, the segment's current posh interior of note. The X5's instrument cluster is fully digital, and it and also the 12.3-inch central display boast new software with crisp, clear graphics and easy-to-understand menu structures accessed with the familiar iDrive controller. Knowing its place. The larger exterior footprint provides more space inside, but unlike some competitors, the X5 isn't intended to be a 7-passenger family hauler. The upcoming X7, that will come standard with 3 rows of seats, will give you that base. The X5's third row is optional, and even though its second row remains quite accommodating, the 6th and 7th seats turn to be, as we were holding before, for the kids only. Other nods toward practicality have an optional power-operated cargo cover as well as the X5's familiar toe-piece tailgate, the base section of and that is now powered just as the upper section. With its variety of mechanical and technological upgrades, the newest X5 will convince the most steadfast doubters of that superiority on the X5s who have come before it. As an SUV, it isn't planning to garner the following that ranks its G05 code name one of many Bavarian legends, but this would be the most accomplished BMW SUV yet, and yes it wears its numerous hats with aplomb.